Don't drink that coffee. You'll never guess. There was a fish in the percolator. This is Inverted World Live. You are back in the Inverted World Live studio. What is up? I am Shane Cashman. This is another pre-record because I am out with my family and the new addition, our third child. And so I'm stoked to be with them, but I'm also stoked to be here with you at the same time. It's weird. I'm jumping through portals. Alex, what's up?
Hey, how's it going? Glad to be here with you in the portal.
It's weird. Yeah, very strange. So I'm very happy to have our guest back after our failed attempt last time because of the gremlins and the portals that come through this room. We're going to do it again, and people have been asking for this guy. Where is that episode? When's he coming back? Well, here he is, and it's Isaac Weishaupt. What's up?
Hey, thanks for having me back on here. Let's give this another shot.
Yeah.
I won't say the things that happened last time, but I'm curious about the powers that be shutting things down.
They definitely don't want this one. They don't want this one. I think the things we're going to talk about, they're watching. The hidden ones are watching. So initially we were going to bring you on. Well, before we even do that, who are you? How many books have you written? Where can people listen to you? Tell us all that good stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, first off, let's talk about my name. My name is Isaac Weishaupt. That is actually not my real name. That is a pseudonym. It's an alias I chose back in 2011 when I started going down this research and regurgitation process. And people that have been with me a long time know my journey. I'll give you the very short version of it. I also posted a sort of history of the censorship and the uphill battles I've had on my website. If you go to IlluminatiWatcher.com and hit the Start Here menu tab, you can read more details. But it started out in 2011. I had a lull between before I started grad school, and I started this blog, IlluminatiWatcher.com. It was very informal. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just talking about various, hip-hop, horror movies and conspiracy theories, and one thing led to another, and I got a lot of interaction on the conspiracy stuff and symbolism and things like this. So that led me to write my first book back in 2012-ish, and I proceeded to write 9 books. I'm currently writing my 10th book, which is about the occult symbolism of Twin Peaks, which you referenced in the beautiful introduction there. And funny enough, I had just watched that scene with the percolator yesterday.
It's so good.
So that's fresh in the mind. But the journey I've taken has been very bizarre. I started out just blogging, and around 2014 I started the podcast, which if people can see the video, my podcast used to be called Conspiracy Theories and Unpopular Culture. And over the years, around, I don't know, 2021, I changed the title to Occult Symbolism and Pop Culture, which is where you can find my podcast now. And the topics are all the same. I just changed the title for it became a divisive word. It became a politically charged word. I am much more of a centrist / anti-authoritarian / libertarian guy, and it was causing a lot of confusion with people who would think I was one person, and then they follow and then be like, wait a minute, I don't like what you're saying. So for a variety of reasons, I changed the title, but it's been a fascinating journey because I've been censored and banned off of so many things, and I'm very much a pro free speech, equal rights kind of guy. And I understand how it's like Alex Jones's InfoWars. There is a battle for creating reality. And what that tells me, it confirms a lot of the research I've been doing about the occult and ritual magic, and it's the idea that reality is actually pretty malleable, and with enough propaganda, with enough forces, with enough repeating of information, you can actually create your own reality, which is exactly what the magicians believe in. And we're seeing this battle happen with the internet and the ability for people like me to just get on here and start researching and saying stuff. And I'm not interested in telling people what to believe or what to think. My goal is to research these things, provide a factual basis, a rational basis of which to talk about these subjects and the symbolism that we're seeing, and the experience we're all going through right now, which I believe is part of the revelation of the method for the New World Order of a Luciferian global government.
Well, letting people think for themselves, Isaac, that seems pretty extreme of you. I don't know if that's appropriate for a proper show like this. Before we get into ritual magic and how that connects to I was going to call it the Special Olympics, to the Olympics, you said you were writing about hip-hop and the Illuminati. Are you at all familiar with the Busta Rhymes, Bill Cooper connection?
No, I didn't know there was a connection. Well,
like I don't think they knew each other, but Busta Rhymes is obsessed with Bill Cooper, and a lot of his early records are references to Bill Cooper. And if you go look at it, you're like, oh yeah.
Yeah, I grew up, in the 80s, and I was born in 79, so I was there for the beginning of Busta Rhymes, and I've got his first few albums. The one that he released around 1998 or 1999, what was it called? Like Extinction Level Event. That one had a lot of sort of conspiratorial ideas.
That's one of them. Yep, that is one of them. And you can, yeah, you can go online and find. There's a part of that hip hop community from especially that time that were really into Cooper. And you'll see a lot of them talk. RZA talks about him because it was just he was talking about things that were very interesting to those guys. And then once you see that, you'll see it in their lyrics and their artwork. Like, oh wow, that's totally what they were drawing from.
Can I ask you? Are you familiar with Jaguar Wright?
No. Yes.
Yeah.
Wait, tell us about that.
She's she's into conspiracy. Well, she talks a lot about conspiratorial things within the hip hop world and the music world and everything. I'm just curious if she is believable. There's a lot of controversy or whether or not she's you can really take her for her word.
Right.
Some of the things that she's been saying have been coming true. So, I have no reason to doubt her. But for being a conspiracy guy, I'm pretty skeptical of a lot of people. I'll listen to them. I don't just run with every single thing that shows up on the internet. I mean, I think that's insane too. If people are that extreme about things. But I've been following the hip hop and the Illuminati. That was actually my second book I wrote in 2014. And like you're saying, a lot of the early rappers, Prodigy from Mobb Deep was a massive conspiracy theorist. And I was actually in a magazine, Complex Magazine, interviewed me and Prodigy for an issue that ironically on the cover was Mariah Carey with an Eyes Wide Shut party. And then I think it was within a year or two after that, there was this news that Mariah Carey's sister, I believe it was, said about how she used to attend these satanic parties as a child with Mariah. And a lot of people chalk it up to oh, she's on drugs or she's crazy. And maybe, right? I mean, that's one possibility. But another one is that there really is a sort of satanic occult elite that, I mean, that seems more realistic or more of a possibility than ever now.
Look at Puff Daddy now.
Beyonce and Jay-Z.
Look at Beyonce, which is a good segue into the Olympics. I believe Beyonce was there. Is Beyonce a lizard person?
I don't know if she's a lizard person, but I think she is in the inner circles, right? I think Jay-Z is very well connected to a lot of these folks. He's best friends with Diddy, right? Diddy said only two people in this world can call him by his name, Sean. That's his mother and Jay-Z. So Jay-Z is very much plugged into, and I don't know his level of involvement. Obviously, I'm not privy to that, but he's had a lot of occult symbolism over the years, and Beyonce is right there with him. I've done many sort of exposés and articles and shows about Beyonce, and whether she knows it or not, her music is powerful, and they do push certain symbols and ideas. And you'll notice that her and Jay-Z have been relatively quiet since the Diddy allegations started picking up steam. I do think there's a reason for that as well. In fact, there was a news article talking about where's Beyonce? Right. People said she had I'm not a fan. I don't listen to her music, but I think she had a new album or something, some new project, the country album. That's right. And that she'd been relatively silent.
It's weird.
Well, they were also saying Lizzo is missing, and she won Album of the Year at the Grammys last year, and did a whole shout out to Beyonce, and now Lizzo's missing.
Oh, great!
In action.
Oh, wow. Yeah, this is a lot of, I get into a lot of pop culture stuff. That's a heavy bleed over into what I do, because I find that the symbolism and the ideas of the occult and paying attention to what's going on in pop culture, you can oftentimes find these strange sort of manifestations of all this occult stuff. A lot of people I think get disenfranchised by that. For me, a a lot of these movies and these musical artists and stuff that I, talk about, pick on, expose, whatever you want to call it, I'm actually a fan. I listen to the music. I watch the movies. I enjoy them. I'm not one of these guys that's like, oh, burn Hollywood to the ground and and I'm like, well, what's the alternative? Like, I want to go, like, I'm going to see the Alien Romulus movie today, and there's surely a lot of occult symbolism there. The title is Alien Romulus, which is a reference to Rome and the mythology of its creation, which ties into the cult of Mithras, which is essentially behind a lot of the Olympics opening ceremony symbolism. But I don't know. I walk in this weird world that a lot of people don't really get, and a lot of people get fired up and they get sort of overzealous, and they're like, "Oh man, these guys are all Satanists, burn them to the ground." And I'm like, I get it. Like, I get the sentiment. That's just not me. I'm more of like, let's talk about these things, and you choose what you want to do. I wouldn't condemn anyone for being like, look, I'm not listening to this garbage anymore. Like, that's fine. That's not what I'm asking for, though.
How much would you say is actually purposefully symbolic or using symbolism of the occult, and how much is just pulling from things they've seen and trying to be edgy or dark?
Yeah, that's $1 million question there, because it could be a lot of both, right?
Yeah.
But I do think that for sure a percentage of this is done on purpose as this sort of revelation of the method, because I think they need, because from all my studies of this thing, we believe that there's an Illuminati, and the Illuminati are these elites that are, pulling the puppet strings in all forms of media and entertainment and such, right? And I believe that wholeheartedly, because you'll notice that, and Shane, you're much closer to a lot of the higher levels than I am, but it seems to me, from my view, that a lot of like, I'm a big hip hop guy. A lot of the rappers, like 50 Cent, for example, he was a very famous rapper. He did very well selling records, but he didn't just keep rapping. He was like, no, I'm going to start businesses. I'm going to start entertainment. Was he like a director of that show? Yeah. And Diddy, same thing. Jay-Z, same thing. All the really like rich, wealthy rappers, it's because they pivoted, and they usually pivot from music to acting to owning businesses.
Right.
That tells me that, because the layperson would think, oh, these guys are rich. They're making music. They're famous. They're rich. And that, affords them all these luxuries. And I don't think that they actually attain the level of wealth or power that we think they do. I think...
I think it's a mirage, like it's an illusion.
Yeah, like it's an illusion, right? Like, people expose us all the time about how they're like renting houses, renting cars and stuff like that to keep up the illusion. And I think it's because they're trying to sort of keep up with the elites, and you're not going to do that by having, 10 to 50 million in your account. Like, these guys are on a whole nother level.
That was the interesting thing about spending any time with Kanye, was because he was trying to do I'm going to be a businessman, but I think the artist side of his brain competes against the businessman side of his brain. So, and he didn't have the backing, especially at that point, because this is 2 years, after the Alex Jones, I Love Hitler stuff. No one was working with him. So he had no backing, so no structure that someone like a Diddy or a Jay-Z would get, or 50 Cent. And then his ideas were kind of like crazy to like normal people. I thought they were great, but his ideas just didn't make sense in the present tense, but I think they would make sense 5, 10, 15 years from now, which is why it collapsed. And there was an illusion of, anything he wants can just be manifested. But this guy's behind the scenes struggling to make buildings, like actual architecture for people that are like hurricane proof things, for, areas that are very for poverty stricken areas, all these things. And having seen that and other stuff, I think a lot of it is illusion. I mean, look on a kind of smaller level, how many influencers are just faking their fame and their wealth. You see there's a story, I'm not really following, my wife is kind of following it, about that wealthy, I'm putting that in quotes, influencer couple, the man killed himself. They were like in massive debt, and she went dark. She's off of social media now, but it was just a front. I don't know if it was a front, but it was everything they were promoting on their Instagram or TikTok, wherever it was fake. And they were spending stuff they were spending money they didn't have. So, and then you can zoom out of that and connect it to the way our government looks. That's an illusion. We're just printing money and we're in massive debt. So it seems to be happening at every level. And in the artist world, it's very bizarre. It seems like you have to say that you're going to do whatever these people want you to do, or spit out whatever narrative they want, whether it's political or cultural, to get that backing to then move forward and progress and have all the businesses. And to connect it back to Kanye, he was at that point not doing it. I can't speak for him now because I don't really agree with anything he's done in the past year, maybe a year plus, but he definitely was the rebel that no one wanted to work with. Whereas you look at Jay-Z and Beyonce, they are the poster children to the pop culture and the narrative that the mainstream media wants to push politically and culturally, which is funny to me why Beyonce is now doing a country album. There's a lot of country albums coming out. I love Post Malone. I'm a big Post Malone fan. He's got a country album coming out. It does sound good to me.